Well, Joel, your movie this week is preceded by a little piece of tripe that's very close to my own heart, called The Phantom Creeps, and it stars our old friend Bela Lugosi as a lovable but fractured mad scientist. Bad print, bad sound, bad for you. Deal with it, joyless prole.
This time, we watch Season 2, Episode 3, Jungle Goddess.
My white goddess.
And it's got a short. The Phantom Creeps, Chapter 1, The Menacing Power. But first, hey Chris, have we got any follow-up?
Well, yeah, we got a little follow-up from our previous episode, including a note from a devoted listener, Lars, answering a question that I had asked. Do modern cell phones actually use touch-tone dialing?
Oh, yeah! I remember you asking that.
Yeah, and Lars said, no, they don't, but they can imitate it when they need to. If you're trying to use like an old-fashioned phone tree, press 7 to get whatever.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Well, I guess I've used that then because, like, occasionally you have to call in to, like, a school or something, and it's like, to reach the attendance office, press 2.
Exactly.
Like, all right.
I'll also link to an episode of the podcast 20,000 Hertz, all about touch-tone, if you want to hear even more about the exciting world of touch-tone dialing. But our big news is that we are old!
Yes, we are! Woohoo!
We are recording this technically slightly before my birthday, and I don't know whether I'll achieve my goal of getting this edited and out to everybody on my birthday.
It's a lofty goal for one of your wisdom.
Indeed. But you're exactly 3 weeks older than me, so you've been in Old Town for ages.
It's totally true, although my body tells me I've been in Old Town for longer than that. But yes, it's glorious. Come, join me, Chris. Get older. Join me in Old Town.
It is, not only is it just our birthdays, but it is a big birthday. Let's just put it that way.
Yes. Well, every birthday's bigger than the last one, but this one feels nice and round and intimidating and exciting and, you know.
And we celebrated in the best way possible.
Did we? How do we celebrate?
By getting our band back together.
Yeah! The band!
And we put out our first full album of new material in 18 years.
Yeah, wow. We could have had an adult child since our last album.
You basically did.
He's not an adult yet. Let's not exaggerate.
No, you had the decency to wait a little bit after we put that last album out. You weren't giving birth in the studio, let's say.
It would have been really, really awkward if I was, though, right? Nobody needs to actually be present for that sort of thing.
You would have had a lot of friends around, and, they could have helped out, I suppose.
But playing accordion is really hard while giving birth. I haven't tried it, everybody, but I'm just going to go on the record of saying I've done each of those things individually, and I don't think those are two great tastes that taste great together.
Well,
No,
sadly,
Chris.
We never tried it out.
No.
We never tried it out. All right,
and
we'll never know.
Sadly, you're not equipped to do so.
Listener, if you ever do that, please send us the tapes. But
no, actually, I mean, depending on the direction that you're taking those.
I don't need video. I just need the audio.
Yeah, no video, just the audio.
Yeah.
Well, we'll evaluate it should it come our way.
All right. Well. So, listeners, yes, released on my birthday, which means it is out by the time you're hearing this. Our new album, The Minor Thirds, new album, The New Songs, has been released. We will have links for the Bandcamp as well as for our brand spanking new YouTube page and our links on, Spotify and Apple Music and Tidal for you Tidal freaks out there and whatever else it's on. We'll have links for that. But yes, it's exciting. It's a new album.
Shiny new songs. They're very shiny.
They are shiny.
And for our listeners who are like, Charlotte never swears or hardly ever swears, like, complies. There's some great swears on it.
Oh, yeah. I guess I should warn everybody. I wrote the songs earlier this year, and we recorded it throughout the last couple months.
As the world has been burning down again.
Yeah, this is very much an album about 2025. But hopefully you'll enjoy it if you listen to it, and I hope you give it a try. It's not a very long album at the very very least. It's under half an hour. Why, if you can stand us talking for an hour each episode, you can probably hear us playing some music and occasionally not talking while the music plays.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you to everybody who listens. Hope you enjoy it. I'm very excited by it.
Thank you.
But that's not what we're here to talk about.
Yeah, it's big news, but not big news in the Mystery Science Theater 3000 realm.
No. What is big news is an episode that came out half our lives ago. Let's talk about Jungle Goddess.
If we must.
This time, we watched Season 2, Episode 3, Jungle Goddess.
But first, a short. The Phantom Creeps, Chapter 1, The Menacing Power. Dr. Alex Zorka has an assistant he helped escape from prison and a metal robot who obeys his every command. What else could an evil scientist need? What? How about a special spider and disc combo that, when combined, puts life forms into suspended animation? Yes, please. Oh, and what about a funny-looking belt that makes you nearly invisible like a phantom? Well, yes to that too. Robots, spider sleep bombs, and invisibility. He really is a very accomplished scientist. But what he doesn't need is a wife or a former partner in his work, both of whom want to dismantle all his plans. They want him to give his stuff to the government and get only the credit of discovery in return. But that won't make Dr. Zorka the most powerful man in the world. So he moves the important stuff from his laboratory down into his basement, hidden behind a secret passage where no one will ever find it. Then he fakes his death in a car accident, using a homeless guy to be his body double. Now, no one will be looking for him. But what if they ask his wife to identify the body? She must be dealt with. So, while invisible, he puts a bomb disc in his wife's purse to draw an explosive spider to her while she's on a plane. But of course, his plans get foiled. They find the disc, and the pilot goes into suspended animation instead. The wife, her friend, and a nosy stowaway reporter all have to escape before the plane crashes. It seems only the reporter parachutes away before the plane explodes into a hillside. Perhaps Dr. Zorka will get away with his faked death after all. To be continued.
And now for our feature presentation. Greta Vanderhorn is a young woman studying at Miss Harcourt's School for Girls in the good old US of A when suddenly, oh no, war breaks out. In Europe. Because it's 1939. And get this, Greta Vanderhorn is Dutch. She figures she should get home real quick. Maybe she could be useful on the front lines. She did take a first aid course, after all. So she hops on the next plane home to her parents in South Africa? Oh, she's that kind of Dutch. Well, anyway, her dreams of helping out the wounded soldiers on the front lines of Europe by going to South Africa, well, the plan gets scuppered as her plane crashes in, well, presumably near the Zambezi River, so in southern Africa, but like still north of South Africa, if that makes sense. Point is, everyone else on the plane dies, but Greta walks away completely unfussed, her hair unmussed. Soon she meets some of the locals who treat this blonde white woman like a god, or, a goddess. In the jungle. A jungle goddess. When she uses her first aid skills to maybe heal a guy, this only confirms her godlyhood. Right, okay, flash forward 6 years, and the war is over, and Greta's father dies. These details are presumably unrelated. Two American guys, Bob and Mike, well, they're pilots and they aren't getting a lot of work, but they see that Greta's father has left a substantial reward for anyone who finds his lost daughter, and they think, okay, sure, why not? So they fly to Africa, somehow spot the wreckage of Greta's plane, land, and Bob shoots the first guy he sees. Bob, who doesn't seem all that upset about having just killed a man, points out that the guy had startled him. The Zambezis, who are upset about one of their men being killed, want Bob to be tried and executed. Greta, who also doesn't get terribly upset about a guy being killed, tries to calm everyone down and, buy these strangers some time. She cooks up a plan to escape. She does not get that upset when she learns that her father is dead, but she does fall in love with Mike, and she salivates over the idea of going back to the USA and trying on fancy hats and eating some charbroiled hamburger sandwiches and French fried potatoes. So, that's Greta's priorities. Greta, Mike, and Bob escape, and the Zambezi chase after them. Mike has taken Bob's gun, and Bob wants it back, so that's a whole thing, and they fight over it. One of the Zambezi stumbles upon Bob and Mike fighting and throws a spear into him, killing Bob. Mike shoots the now unarmed man, killing him. Greta and Mike do not care about this Zambezi man dying. They check to make sure Bob is really dead. After all, it would be cruel to leave him behind. But when they know he's not only merely dead, but really most sincerely dead, they shrug and head to the plane. And as they fly off, Mike tries to get Greta all excited about the ranch in Colorado he's hoping to buy with the reward money. But she's just thinking about hats. The end.
Meanwhile, on the Satellite of Love, Joel, Tom, and Crow are playing hide and seek with the forces of the universe, which are counting to Avogadro's number before seeking them out. Shockingly, it makes it to 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd power by the end of the commercial break. The invention exchange has Joel putting a circular saw on a robot car so you can cut wood from afar. It circles around him while he's explaining all about it, which causes him to fall through the floor. Surely not OSHA approved, as Frank says. Dr. F has cut off his own head and placed it at the end of a saxophone, making it Dr. Sax. Now he too can wail an evil supreme, an evil supreme. Dr. F is now the embodiment of evil jazz, so amoral, so atonal. After the short, Joel is an infomercial host of Bella's OK Discoveries, where Tom and Crow have brought their bomb spider invention on to hawk their wares. This has been around in Britain, of course, for a while, but now you too can blow people up with the disc and creepy spider combo. And what kind of bomb spiders do they have? Why, napalm, defoliant, mint, and mega size. I'm with Joel. My heart says yes, but my heart says, how much? In a movie break, Joel introduces the bots to gobos, a matte box camera effect. Black screens with fun shape cutouts are placed in front of CamBot to change our perspective. And thus we have the binocular scope, like from the movie, but also the keyhole scope, Lucy scope with the heart shape, family circus scope, glaucoma scope, which of course is blurry, Pope scope, nope scope. It's a great visual gag that probably doesn't translate nearly as well to podcasting as I might like. Anyway, another movie break has the crew of the Satellite of Love trying to highlight the highly offensive nature of the movie's colonialist values. They see a plane like the one from the movie, and who should show up on their view screen? Why, it's white colonizers, like the pair from the movie. In pith helmets and with guns firing, they offer Joel beads and trinkets in exchange for the Satellite of Love's mineral rights and, women and food, the standard colonialist package. They also have fire and, VD to give. Super. Then they even shame Joel for being a white guy who doesn't enslave his bots. Seriously throwing around some white male weight, as they say in the short. Fortunately, Joel decisively sends them on their way. With the movie over, and in an effort to mock its highly offensive racism, Joel and the bots enact a sitcom version of our movie. Great theme song opens up the show, My White Goddess. Joel plays our white goddess turned wife. Tom is her khaki-clad husband, and Crow plays the gun-wielding neighbor Bill, who shoots one of their native guests and the crock pot, making it impossible for My White Goddess to cook dinner. There's a laugh track because it's a sitcom. Frank thinks it's hilarious. Push the button, Frank. Push the button, Frank. What do you think, sirs?
Hey, a few little fun factoids about the host segments, since they're not going to be in the Channel 13, spoiler alert. First off, do you know what Dr. Sachs is a reference to?
I do not. What is Dr. Sachs a reference to?
Dr. Sachs is a novel written by one of your favorite writers, Jack Kerouac.
Yes, you know how I love Jack Kerouac. God, I want to punch him every time he says Frisco. Fortunately, he's dead, so I can't, because that would be really awkward. People love him. I'm sorry if Jack Kerouac is your thing, listeners. He's just not mine, and that's okay.
I haven't read Dr. Sachs, but I had the special delight of reading Charlotte's copy of On the Road, where her little marginal annotations got angrier and angrier, and by page 20, they were so full of vitriol, and I didn't disagree. It was so much fun to read along.
Yeah, sure. And about page 25, I just stopped, because that was where I stopped reading the book, because I could not be on the road with Jack Kerouac any longer.
And that's where I stopped, because my fun on the road companion had left the car, jumped out of the car on the highway, and I was I'm going with her. I'm with her. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is that Joel's wrong, I believe. That's not what a gobo is. A gobo is the thing that you put in front of a light source, typically, to cause patterns to happen. So, like, the bat signal is a gobo.
Oh, okay.
But usually that's how it's referred to, and the thing that you put in front of the camera is a mat.
Okay.
I can't find any evidence outside of this episode of anybody calling those things gobos, but I could be wrong. I'm not in the industry, and maybe it's a Hopkins term.
Oh, I can't believe he didn't do a bat scope. He didn't do a bat scope.
Well, they never filmed Batman through the bat scope.
No, but they did have the Batman symbol come forward and back and twirl around, to
they
change
did do that.
scenes.
That's true.
I guess it's a different thing.
That is a different thing, but that's okay. I mean, It could have been fun. They could have done it. It's true.
It's true.
By the way, there's a little something kind of notable about this episode. You might have noticed at the end of it, there's kind of a honeymooners style thing where Joel comes out and introduces everybody, and he introduces Crow as Art Crow!
Art Crow!
Like Art Carney, but Art Crow. It's a perfectly reasonable little joke that would have had no further impact had not, a little while later, in season 4 with the giant Gila monster, a kid wrote a letter in with a drawing of all the bots and labels Crow as Art.
Oh, like Art is his first name and Crow is his last name, so he just called him Art?
Right, like that was canon, and like Tom Servo and Art Crow. Sure, makes sense.
Sure, Tom and Art.
Anyway, theoretically, this is where the running gag of Pearl calling Crow Art comes from.
Oh, that makes so much more sense now. I didn't put that together.
Well, I didn't put it together either. Other people have before me, but there you go. Anyway, Jungle Goddess. You've seen this one before, right?
Yes. I'm certain that I've seen this one before because I've totally seen my white goddess.
I'm sure I would have shown you this back in the day.
Yes. I'm certain, wow, how much more problematic to my eyes was it this time around than it was 30-ish years ago when I might have seen it for the first time?
Well, you tell me, because one of the things that I think about with this episode is that I watched it for the first time when it came out, when I would have been, oh no, now everybody's going to be able to do the math.
Years
No,
old.
I mean, it's not like this isn't common knowledge. When I was 15 years old, it came out in 1990. You all can figure out which birthday this is if you didn't know already. But anyway, I saw it when I was 15. And like, one of the remarkable things about this episode, to my mind, is that Joel and the Bots and the entire writer's room, it seems, just saw what this film was up to and, as they say these days, read it to filth.
Yes. I mean, my visceral reaction to like the, oh my God, was more to the movie than it was to the send off of it that the crew and the writer's room were doing. They did a great job of pointing out a lot of things that probably were not part of the common descriptions of movies like this at the time. Like, who was talking about this sort of trope in a movie where you have like isolated white person among quote unquote natives, primitive quote unquote, like, what are you doing? Movie trope, book trope, right? This wasn't just in like movies of the time. This had existed in books for a while as well.
Yeah. And it's not that no one was talking about it, but it certainly wasn't the
As
common
prominent.
way people
Yeah.
talked about it. And so I appreciate that, like, one of my earlier exposures to it, or like a formative one when I was a teenager, was them pointing out what was going on in this movie.
Yes.
Not in a way that was like, I don't know, overly political, let's say, but just sort of making fun of it, like showing how obvious it was, pulling the Scooby-Doo, pulling the sheet off of the ghost and revealing it to be old grandpa racist all along.
I can't believe you, old grandpa racist. How did we not see you earlier?
One of the interesting side effects of that is that, of course, the next episode that they would do after Jungle Goddess is Catalina Caper.
Oh.
Which you might remember starts off with quite a lot of jokes about how this very white cast is like the Nazi party.
Yes,
like
that is true.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yes.
And a lot of comments that I see people making about the episode is like, why is there so much, especially at the very beginning, of them pointing out how white the cast is, making fun of them for being Nazis when they haven't done anything at that point in the movie to like earn that. And it's like, well, they did just come off Jungle Goddess. They are tuned for this right now.
Yes.
But anyway, back to Jungle Goddess, I guess. I wanted to read up a little bit on the trope of the Jungle Goddess, of this, white, usually blonde, usually American woman who finds herself lost among the natives and treated like a god or queen or both.
I mean, I think most of the time in the trope, it's like no good reason either. Like, at least in Jungle Goddess, she saves a guy, maybe? But usually it's just white person in the jungle. You must be a god. Let's worship you as such.
Yeah, usually it's kind of presented as like we had a legend about a white god coming down from the sky, and here you are.
Yeah. Neat.
Which, interesting.
Yeah, really? That's a really interesting way for us to portray ourselves.
Yeah. So I'm not an expert on this. I tried to go down a rabbit hole. I found some interesting writing about it. I felt like I didn't actually find the kind of thing I was looking for.
What kind of thing were you looking for?
Well, just somebody who had really, I don't know, read this clearly and also was specifically talking about that version of it, because there's sort of another version of it.
The Tarzan, right?
Yeah, there's like a female Tarzan. Although, we should say, the female Tarzan trope came before the male Tarzan trope by about 10 years, it looks like. William Henry Hudson's novel Green Mansions, which has Rima, a jungle princess or whatever, is from 1904, and Edgar Rice Burroughs' Tarzan of the Apes came out in magazines in 1912 and as a book in 1914.
And both of those people are like raised, or that trope, that idea, they're raised by animals in the jungle, right? Not by native tribes or indigenous tribes.
Believe so. They are like lost white people, but I think for me, the important thing is that they kind of get what we might call jungle powers, right? Like, and part of that can just be like being one with the animals, but they can like commune with the animals. They understand the jungle.
They figure out some way to communicate with them. The jungle animals accept them as part of the family, like Mowgli, right? Mowgli's accepted as part of the animal family, at least in the Disney version, right?
Right. And Greta, as you say, just kind of maybe help somebody get over a cold.
Maybe. I don't know. that guy was laid up. Maybe it was worse than we thought, but
Maybe. I mean, it seemed like even Greta was like, I don't know, I did a thing and he got better and that worked. But like, I've just taken a first aid course and a finishing school. So
sure.
I don't know.
But even she says, like, it confirmed what they already thought about her. So it wasn't like they made her a goddess because she saved a life. It was they thought she was a goddess, so they brought her to save a life. And coincidentally, the guy didn't die. It's different, right? It's different than earning that status.
Exactly. It looks like this trope has been around for a while in films in particular. There was a serial from 1922 called The Jungle Goddess. It is now lost as far as we know.
But it was the same sort of idea, like plane goes down, only survivor.
Hot air balloon goes down.
Oh, stop you and your dirigibles.
No, hot air balloon, like Wizard of Oz style. Gets blown off course, ends up in the African jungle. She's captured by cannibals, but they treat her like a goddess, and then years later a guy comes and saves her.
Huh. It's a different send-up to the Wizard of Oz, right? Guy arrives in a hot air balloon and you make him king over everything.
Yeah.
I just don't even know how to deal with this. You know what I mean? Like, why is this a fantasy or a trope? Like, why is this a way that we're dealing with our idea of potential isolation inside of an unfamiliar territory, like where everything looks unfamiliar, including the people?
Well, one of the theories that I came across is that basically what we're finding is a plot that has a radical kind of disorder.
Mm-hmm.
And one that speaks of danger to the minds of the racist, of the young white woman surrounded by black men.
Pretty much.
Right. And who then needs to be found by white guys and brought back and restore the order of how things should be. So there's sort of a reestablishment of boundaries that goes on. That's sort of the point of these plots, it could be. It also sometimes like ties in with other stuff. There's a movie called Trader Horn that came out in 1931 based on the memoirs of a guy named Trader Horn that were largely fictional.
Of course, yeah.
Including discovering a blonde white jungle queen, so to speak, the lost daughter of a missionary. Trader Horn is traveling with his like black manservant and his white, I don't know, protege or something. I haven't watched it. I've just read about it. A younger man who is scared of everything and comes off as a bit effeminate. And they have kind of a little like thing going between Trader Horn and this other guy. They're kind of like, ooh, we're two men together having an adventure. Ooh. Then when they meet the jungle goddess, she comes down and scares him straight. Almost literally, right?
Wow.
Like she's very aggressive and he's very meek. And then when they interact with each other, he becomes brave to stand up to her, so to speak. And she becomes timid out of love for this white guy. And again, another form of natural order, so to speak, is restored. Heavy quotes on that idea that that's somehow a natural order. But like that's sort of the kinds of plot lines that you see happening here. And you see it in Jungle Goddess as well, even though Jungle Goddess is like barely putting in the effort. And it's many iterations of this going down.
No, it seems like she was just waiting for somebody to take her back.
Yeah,
right?
She doesn't
waiting.
care.
She was waiting. She damseled herself, like, because she had a whole tribe of people who were willing to work with her, right? Who had made her a part of them. I mean, a part of their culture. She could have asked them to bring her somewhere, right? She could have brought her tribe to a quote unquote civilized area so that she could rejoin her own. Like she could have even made that her narrative, but no, instead she just waited. Like somebody was going to be coming for her in the deepest parts of a uncharted area, right? Like, as you say, like, I don't even know how they found her plane.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's just like, it's interesting to have a trope like the Jungle Goddess where it is you're being dropped into somebody else's society that's so completely different from ours that you become elevated to God status.
It's a situation where your death would matter. And this film is very clear about whose deaths matter and whose don't.
That is
and admittedly, some of the white characters also, like all the people on the plane, they don't matter either.
Yeah. Because they're not rich, right?
Also, well, it's also badly written and badly acted. So that's going to help underline the fact that none of these people are people. They're just little cardboard cutouts going through the motions for a cheap film.
Unless you're in love with Superman, you just don't matter.
That's right. We should probably talk a little bit about our heroes of this film, Superman and Dick Tracy.
Yay! Superman and Dick Tracy. When I think of the most exciting people to come out of the comic pages.
You'd think of Superman and Dick Tracy?
No, they're never the ones who come immediately to mind. Not once. Not once. Superman, like so many listeners are going to disagree with me on this, which is absolutely their right. I find Superman to be a little boring.
I also have found Superman to be a bit boring, but I've heard people defend Superman in ways that I think are compelling, and I have to admit, it's not like I'm knee-deep in the source material. I don't really know what I'm talking about.
The idea of Superman, very compelling. The execution of Superman, not as compelling as the storyline would have you believe. I think it's just really hard to do Superman. It is hard to have somebody who literally feels no pain from any element that is known to Earth, who cannot be killed, who is impenetrable in so many ways, and yet wants to be a servant of mankind. It's just, I don't know. This is why in the Twilight Zone, to serve man means we're going to eat you eventually. It makes it more interesting.
Sure. So I think that's especially true with George Reeves, who I would occasionally encounter the old 50s Superman TV show that he was on, who is Mike, the hero who takes longer to kill somebody in this film.
He's blonde, if that helps. It is, even though this is a black and white movie, we know who's blonde, and Mike is blonde.
Yeah, not as blonde as Greta, but yeah. I just remember that Superman as being incredibly stiff and wooden and boring, and I could not turn it off faster when I was a kid.
He's very milquetoast.
All right, but there's a new Superman movie out that people are raving about.
It's true, and I went to see it.
Oh, good. All right. Is it as good as people say?
So before I watched the movie, I purposefully did not see any of the trailers or read anybody's reviews other than, having the impression of them being generally positive. And yeah, I'm going to go with it being generally positive, but it's not the absolute triumph of a Superman that I really, really, really wanted it to be.
Okay.
They make him vulnerable, which is amazing. And they make him have a way to regain his powers. So he's not just impenetrable. Yes, he can stop bullets, but he does get hurt. And the accumulation of him getting hurt eventually starts to destroy his body. So there's this idea that he could be killed with enough pressure.
Does the new Superman have all the screen charisma of George Reeves?
100% more. And is that hard? It definitely isn't. The new Superman is lovely.
Oh, good.
I mean, I have to say, so I'm thinking of 3 of the recent Supermans, Christopher Reeve. I mean, he's my childhood Superman, so he will always have the softest place for me in my heart. But Henry Cavill, lovely Superman. And the new Superman, David Cornsweet, lovely. Does a wonderful job with it, is very, all 3 of those gentlemen who I named, beautiful, right? Very strikingly handsome, very strikingly visually strong and large men. They're beautiful to look at, but they also evoke a vulnerability in their portrayals of Superman, which who can ask for more than that?
Well, if George Reeves isn't up to the task of being vulnerable as Superman, which, I mean, I didn't watch all the episodes. Maybe he does. Maybe he cries in one of those episodes.
I don't know. I watched one George Reeves where he was, it was put on by the Treasury, and he was trying to sell stamps, which are like a kid version of savings bonds.
Right.
Right. So he was trying to convince children to fund the government in that way, like create savings for themselves, which is lovely because Jimmy Olsen did it, right? And it helped him buy a new typewriter, which Lois used to save the day. It's awesome. But like George Reeves' Superman is very much like a milquetoast in the background with Lois and Jimmy providing all of this charisma and action. And Superman's just there to make things go right. And in some ways, that's a really cool dynamic for Superman to have. Like the interesting people are not Superman. He really is just supporting cast. He's supporting the US government and helping to sell savings bonds and stamps even. But like he's just there as support.
Interesting. And yes, to the listeners who are shouting out, that is the short that MST3K riffed with that live riff tracks thing in 2016. But we're moving on. Moving on. Because we simply must compare this to Ralph Bird, who plays Bob Simpson and who was in the first Dick Tracy serial back in 1937.
What'd you think about his portrayal of Dick Tracy? Did you watch some of that?
I watched the first episode. And I will say, like, this was a popular serial, and I think it was the first serial to get a sequel in serials.
Oh.
So, like, that says something. It is not that bad of a serial, all things considered. It is sort of competently paced, and everything that happens makes sense, and there's some visually nice moments. And Ralph Bird is completely overshadowed by almost everyone else in the cast.
Yes, because he's just a G-man, right?
Yeah. Which is what Dick Tracy is, or at least in the early days was.
Sure. I watched a little bit as well, but I did it after reminding myself of the 1990 Dick Tracy that Warren Beatty made. And it was real hard to like the Dick Tracy serial after re-watching parts of that brightly colored, like, spectacular movie. Like the story is not nearly as comprehensible, but oh my gosh, it's so visually stunning. And Dick Tracy is like he's gonna solve things. Like, and the other Dick Tracy's like, I'm gonna look at stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the movie I mostly remember for its sort of amazing color palette, like his bright yellow trench coat.
Yes. And Tess Trueheart's all red outfit, and Al Pacino in the like blue. And also like the villains inside of that are like highly exaggerated mobsters. And the villains so far in the first like half hour of the serial that I was watching was they were kind of still in the background, and they just had, you know, like mismatched shoes.
Yeah. You barely get to see the main villain, the spider, whatever his name is, where he's got differently sized legs, I guess. And so one of his shoes has a platform
like the 70s.
Yeah.
And it makes him limp, which it really looks like the limp is because of the shoe, not the shoe because he had a limp. You know what I mean? But the compelling villain is what makes your hero seem amazing, right? They totally make this argument in the Lego Batman movie, so I don't need to redo the whole thing. But without like a compelling villain, your superhero doesn't really seem all that super. What is Superman without the most awesome Lex Luthor ever? What is Dick Tracy without such a compelling villain for him to have to sleuth his way to expose?
Yeah, no, that's true. The other thing is, again, like everybody around Dick Tracy, everybody around Ralph Bird was doing a better job acting, including, most impressively, the stupid kid.
I like the kid so.
That's what I'm saying. He is much more compelling than anyone else in this film, frankly, and he shouldn't be.
He tackles a bad guy. Who tackles a bad guy other than him? No one.
The kid is supposed to be the worst part of these films, and he's somehow the best.
He's the best. He's really good.
All right, so that's our Superman, and that's our Dick Tracy. In this film, as they're put together in Jungle Goddess, how much chemistry do you find them to have?
I mean, I find them to have more chemistry with each other than any of them have with the Jungle Goddess. Which is problematic, right? The Jungle Goddess should be drawing all of us in.
I mean, that's how these movies are supposed to work, yes, I suppose. Somebody certainly felt like they had all the chemistry in the world because Robert Lippert, the producer, wanted to make a bunch of buddy movies with them.
They wanted it to be a bromance.
Yeah. He was like, oh, yeah, this can totally be a thing. And so he was planning on making 12 of them.
Oh, whoa, no. I don't think we could have stood for 12. We're barely able to get that inside of our big Marvel universes, DC universes.
Oh, they could pump them out much faster back then, and they were not spending nearly as much time or money or effort on them. Only one such movie got made. It was made in 1948.
This is a second buddy movie for our Superman and Dick Tracy after Jungle Goddess.
Yes, which 1948, of course, is the same year that Jungle Goddess came out. So they turned this around pretty quickly.
Yep.
But it's called Thunder in the Pines.
Great name.
Yeah.
Great name. It makes me want to go to the Ponderosa, actually.
Well, you've gone too far west if you go there because these pines are in Wisconsin.
What? It's in the Dells. We're going to go to water slides.
There's definitely a log flume at one point.
Oh, yes.
So we've got Superman and Dick Tracy competing over a logging contract and a French woman just after the war.
Fabulous. So they're not buddies in this one. They're competitors?
They're both. We open on them having a bar fight together, which they interrupt to check out the hot dame that just entered the bar. And they say to each other, let's not forget where we were. And at the end of the movie, they were saying, oh, wait, we have to remember that fight we were in months ago by the end of the movie. And then they get back into the same position and start fighting each other again.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
I mean, it should be, but this movie thinks it's a comedy, and it is written like a comedy, and it is aggressively unfunny to my ears.
Oh,
I don't know.
Man.
Everything was so painfully done. It was really hard to watch.
Was it because it didn't have a laugh track and a whomp whomp?
No, I don't think that would have helped. I think it needed somebody to actually, I think it maybe needed stars who were comedically talented and possibly a writer who took a second pass at the jokes.
Maybe said them out loud in front of somebody else to be like, huh? No? Oh, okay.
Oh, man, I don't know. I don't know about this film at all. I did not enjoy it one bit.
I'm really sorry, because had those two had chemistry, I mean, I don't know. There's a reason why there's so many of the road movies, right? Because Bing Crosby and Bob Hope have some chemistry and some comedic timing, right? And these guys just don't have it.
No. But do you think that there's any world in which Superman and Dick Tracy would have chemistry? Like the characters, not those two actors.
All right. So when I'm imagining whether Superman and Dick Tracy have chemistry, this is what I'm imagining. Christopher Reeve in his red and blue outfit, and I'm imagining Warren Beatty in his all yellow outfit, and it is just a primary color fest of love. I'm liking it, Chris. I'm very much liking it.
Okay, here's my task for you then, because I went to Archive of Our Own, the repository of fan fiction and the like.
Oh.
And there is no Dick Tracy Superman fanfic. They are never paired.
What?
This is an opportunity. There are even, as far I could find, like people who wrote both fandoms, but they never wanted to mash the two up. Just saying. This is your entry. You can make a name for yourself in the world of fanfic by writing
just
that.
Think about it, like Lois Lane and Tess Trueheart could be like their beards, but also their companions in solving crime.
They could be, yeah, maybe they could also hook up. That could be fun too.
Oh, they absolutely have to hook up, right? This totally has to be like a Johnny and Betty, like we got married to fool everyone into thinking that we weren't gay. And we actually are, and we're actually happy and awesome and wonderful. And look what we could do for the world.
All right, listeners, your task is to try to write that fanfic before Charlotte does. Whoever wins that race, I'll be happy.
As long as someone writes it, right? Who's Jimmy Olsen going to hook up with, right? Because the other thing that impresses me so much is Superman is nothing without Lois Lane, and Superman and Clark Kent, Superman/Clark Kent and Lois Lane are nothing without Jimmy Olsen, right? Like, you need the three of them. So there has to be a third person in the Dick
Tracy also has a kid. What are you talking about?
Oh, the kid is perfect to be with Jimmy Olsen. Yes, I'm liking all of the shipping that can happen here.
Yeah, all right, listeners, you know what to do.
Hey, everybody, it's time for the Shallow 13.
It's time for the Shallow 13. 13 char-broiled hamburger mini sandwiches, each with a single French fried potato fact for today's experiment, Jungle Goddess. Go, Charlotte, go!
In addition to Jungle Goddess director Louis D. Collins also directed a serial called Jungle Queen. Okay, this one is set in 1939, and it's about how Dr. Elise Bork, a woman? A lady doctor? Goes into Africa with her henchmen in order to incite a revolution, and oh, wait, she's a Nazi. A literal Nazi. She's not the hero, is she?
No, but a British agent, a woman, a lady agent, goes into Africa to look for her lost uncle and also to stop the Nazis and ensure that the British get to keep their colonial possession and... Oh, wait, I guess that's better, but, oof.
There are also some American guys in the mix, and they're being helped by the local queen. A woman! A lady queen! Well, anyway, this jungle queen, who may or may not be a ghost or a goddess, she keeps appearing and spoiling the Nazi plans. So that's good, right?
Yeah, probably. Look, we're telling you all of this because we read about it and it all sounds kind of neat. So we're hoping one of you has watched this serial or will watch it, which critics described as, quote, bogged down with complicated plot twists. If you've seen it, write in and let us know how it was. info@itsjustashow.com.
Wanda McKay, who plays Greta, was in a bunch of other films, including one from 1943 called Danger, Women at Work, by I Accuse My Parents director Sam Newfield. This one seems to be about a woman who becomes a trucker and picks up some other women on the road, including Madame Sappho, the fortune teller, and they, Hey, say, Chris, isn't this basically that trucker porn movie you watched?
I don't think so, but the main star of that film, Patsy Kelly, did get blacklisted from Hollywood after this movie came out because she refused to stop being a lesbian. So, you know what? Maybe this one is worth watching.
Okay, sorry, we should totally focus on Jungle Goddess. Wanama is played by Armida, a Mexican actor, singer, dancer type who was in a few American movies, including The Gay Amigo. Hey, Chris, didn't you watch that one for the show?
Oh, yeah. She was the love interest, Rosita. The Cisco kid falls for her, but at the end of the movie, he rides off with Pancho. Truly the gay amigo. Well, so, Armida is about as good in that as she was in Jungle Goddess.
Smokey Whitfield plays Ulanga, the witch doctor, and the truly eagle-eyed viewer will remember him as a train porter in the Rebel set, Rift in Season 4.
But Whitfield was also in a series of films about Bomba, the Jungle Boy. A boy! A Tarzan boy! And yeah, the teen who played Bomba also played Boy, the boy, in the Tarzan films. Anyway, Whitfield was in a bunch of these Bomba films, which were all directed by Ford Beebe!
Ford Beebe.
All right, I guess we should talk a little bit about the short. The Phantom Creeps was directed by Ford Beebe, who directed a lot of things, mostly shorts and Bomba, the Jungle Boy movies, but he also directed part of Fantasia.
Yeah, that Fantasia, the animated Disney movie. Ford Beebe directed one of the live-action films that was used as reference to make one of the segments of Fantasia, the bit with the centaurs, I believe. Where he found real centaurs to film is beyond me.
He probably knew a guy. Oh, I guess we need one more. The guy who plays the drums in the movie in this film is named Honest Conley. He was in a movie you probably have seen. He played one of the warriors in King Kong. Of course, he didn't get a credit in the film, so we might as well give him credit now.
And that's about time. Well, okay, we got to see the first chapter of The Phantom Creeps this time. We've done the third chapter when we did Ring of Terror, so we're all out of order.
We're all out of order.
But that just means we get to once again revel in the introduction of the greatest character, not Bela Lugosi's Dr. Zorka, although he's pretty fun.
He is pretty fun.
But his lovely child, the very tall, very fun-looking robot.
Yeah, I have to say, it's been so long since we've talked about the Phantom Creeps that I don't really remember what happened in the installment that we saw. But in this one, yes, almost in the very first couple of minutes of the short, he introduces his lab assistant to his robot and reveals his nefarious plans for, being the most powerful man in the world.
I'm so glad that they didn't wait to show off that robot because he is such a treat. He is such an icon. And when he pops out, Tom sings a little song that goes a little something like this.
I'm Milton, your brand new son.
And did you recognize that song?
I did not recognize the song, and I had to look it up, and it was a set of animated shorts that I do not remember having ever seen before, which is Milton the Monster is the name of the animated series, and it's put together by a production studios that was headed by Hal Seeger. Do you remember watching Milton the Monster ever?
No, I looked it up, and I did not recognize this one at all.
I was wondering if maybe you had, because the setup for Milton the Monster in terms of the show as it was put out in the 60s was the same as Looney Tunes or the Pink Panther, where there's kind of like a main character that everybody knows and recognizes and maybe the show is named after, but there's a bunch of shorts that include different main characters and different storylines.
Yeah, so like a Rocky and Bullwinkle situation.
Very much like that. So it was like a variety show, but in animation. And so Milton the Monster was the main character in one of the shorts that happened. And he is a Frankenstein type monster. So he's not a robot, but he's like a big dumb lug, and he's a very large Frankenstein type monster. He was created by Professor Weirdo.
Sure.
And his assistant, Count Kook.
Yeah, yep.
So even though Professor Weirdo is totally a grave robber, he lives right by a cemetery, he digs up graves all the time, he has other monsters that are made from body parts of, he steals from the graves. Milton wasn't made like Frankenstein by stitching bodies together. He was made from, liquids. He's chemistry. He was made by chemistry. He's just a big liquid soup at the beginning of the opening sequence.
Oh, God.
And Professor Weirdo drips in essence of terror and sinister sauce. And then he puts in a little bit of tincture of tenderness because you need a little tenderness in your monster. Otherwise, it might just kill you.
True.
But Count Kook bumps his elbow and, oh no, he ends up dumping the whole thing inside. And now he just has a big dumb baby as a monster.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Milton the Monster is just like a big dumb baby. He has an open top head. So in a lot of scenes, he's wearing a hat, and then he'll take his hat off and puffs of smoke come out of the top of his head.
This is disgusting. Everything you said is really disgusting for a 60s TV kids cartoon.
I mean, whatever. It's elements of horror and it's elements of comedy. I mean, it's a lot of, the Addams Family does a bunch of this stuff, right? The Addams Family could fall into a little bit of body horror if they needed to, but because it's couched in comedy, it doesn't come off the same as it does in a slasher film.
I guess so.
The whole shtick of the cartoon is Professor Weirdo and Count Kook want monsters, evil, terrifying monsters. And so having this, big galoot, nice monster is kind of off brand for them. So they want to get rid of him all the time. So every show is about them trying to get rid of him.
Okay, wait. So like in the beginning, in like the theme song, he says, "Hi, I'm your son, Milton the Monster," or whatever. And then like the plot is that his dad wants to abandon him.
Yeah, pretty much. How are we going to get rid of Milton?
Amazing.
I know.
Wow.
We'll sell him. Monsters for sale, monsters for sale. And then nobody buys him. Or like, we need to pay the rent. Let's rent out our monsters to do things. Because he doesn't just have Milton the Monster. He has two other prominent monsters in his, house on Horror Hill.
Right. And so Professor Weirdo loves these children.
No, he hates them too. It's like Professor Weirdo and Count Kook are like parents who have children that they want to get rid of at all times. Like, the house would be so much quieter if these monsters weren't here. Let's get rid of the monsters and make new ones. That, like, there's always that underlying thing.
All right, hold on. Do Professor Weirdo and Count Kook get along?
No.
Oh.
And sometimes they try to get rid of each other. Like, Professor Weirdo will put Count Kook inside of a dungeon. Count Kook will forget to fix a trap door, and Professor Weirdo will fall into stuff. Like, they don't get along, but they do. Yeah, in a very 60s sitcom couple sort of way.
All right, this is weird. This family of monsters and monster makers where everybody hates each other and is trying to kill each other all the time. Absolutely the opposite of the Addams Family. Was it a fun show?
The Addams Family is more fun. There's no question. But was this fun in and of itself? Well, I mean, Chris, I think that we've hit everything that we need to in terms of our discussing. We talked a little bit about the short. We've talked a little bit about problematic tropes, and we've talked about the movies. So, I don't know. Do we have a final factoid for our listeners?
Yeah, there's one little joke that comes up that you had asked me a question about, and I said, let's save it for pod. And so this is pod, and let's do it now. At one point, Joel and Tom have this little exchange.
Wasn't he one of the Smith brothers?
Yeah, either Trade or Mark. I'm not sure which one.
And you didn't seem to know what that was about.
No, I mean, I like trademark. I assume it's something to do with trademarks, but I was like, but the Smith brothers, I don't understand how all that fits together, if that's even what it's about.
You're so close. You're on the right track. But do you know who the Smith brothers are?
No.
Well, you might have heard of them. They make cough drops.
Like Hall's cough drops? Like Luden's cough drops?
That kind of thing, but Smith Brothers. They were around quite a bit earlier. And in fact, you can look at some of their old-fashioned packaging, and it looks very, old-fashioned packaging. Smith Brothers were, in fact, the first people to make cough drops in the U.S.
Oh.
And so they got a lot of market share, though apparently not enough for you to have heard of them.
Well, might be a trademark issue, huh?
Yeah, maybe. They started making them in 1852, and their packaging sometimes, I'll show you a little picture of it, but it said Smith Brothers, and then it had the wild cherry in the middle with the flavors, and then it had depictions of the two brothers on either side, and it said cough drops underneath them. But if you looked at the packaging closely, you would see little words written by each gentleman's portrait.
Oh, yeah.
Trade
and
Mark. And it made it look like the Smith brothers were named Trade and Mark. But in fact, they were named William and Andrew, which is not as much fun.
Not nearly.
So the joke about them being named Trade and Mark was just a little appreciation of, the whole sort of graphic design is my passion approach to poor information organization. And I think that's worth remembering.
If you've been affected by the issues on this show, if you enjoyed the new songs, the new album by the Minor Thirds available on Bandcamp or streaming platforms everywhere, or if you'd like to ask us anything, get in touch with us. Our email is info@itsjustashow.com, and we're on Blue Sky. And of course, we would love to hear from you. This show is made possible by listeners like you, and like our randomly selected supporter, James. Thank you, James. For about $1 an episode, you can be like James and help us research and record this show. You can join us in a friendly Discord, and you can listen to all our superfan bonus bits. Find out more at itsjustashow.com/Patreon or patreon.com/itsjustashow. And if you want to follow up on anything that was mentioned today, you'll find links in our show notes at itsjustashow.com/episode/179. Chris, I really hope our next movie doesn't have as much potentially problematic thinking as the one that we just watched.
Well, maybe it'll be slightly different problematic thinking. Who knows? We will find out as we take a look at season 13, episode 12, The Bubble.
Ooh, season 13. So who's the host? Because it could be Jonah, it could be Emily, it could be Joel.
It's Joel.
Yay!
We've pulled up a Joel one. We're going from a Joel episode to a Joel episode. This is the one that they declared to be one of the worst films they ever worked on.
Oh, wow. Well, if that isn't enticing enough.
Yeah, we'll see if we agree with them next time. But until then...
Oh, don't do that. You scared the pants off me.
Quick, get Vix on the phone. I've just invented the vaporizer. Take it away, Theme Squad. It's just a show.
I can't believe you, old Grandpa Racist. How did we not see you earlier?